Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi. Last time, Mion's alive. Yes, Mion is alive in this universe as she was post all the universes we've seen in the console arts. But this time she's lived past the hospital. Maybe a wish she wasn't prying as hard or whatever. um, Yes, we have mommy Mion, 40-year-old, still looking pretty fresh. She looks pretty different from Akane too. A little more defined and stuff. So cool. With the katana, we're gonna have a friendly talk. Don't know why she's in Hinamizawa. Um, Unless I guess she could be truth seeking too, because she'd probably be pretty traumatized by that shit too. Um, I assume she still has the power of the Yakuza with her too, because they lived outside of Hinamizawa, but who knows? I don't know if she was involved in the suicides in the car too. Were they actual suicides, or was that her fucking people up for revenge or whatever? I don't know. We'll see. It's raining. We're gonna have a nice conversation with Mion and see how that goes. So yeah, let's get started. The crumbling wooden frame of the assembly hall smelled faintly of mold. Rain and wind came blowing in through a broken window. Posters and papers were affixed to the pillars and walls here and there. Although it was difficult to make out, I could only read the phrases Onitafuchi Guardians and Damn Opposition. According to the newspaper articles and other sources I've read, there was a plan to construct a dam in this village a long time ago. The planned dam would have submerged Hinamizawa, but the strong opposition and murder incidents caused the plan to be suspended. But that topic largely faded away after the Great Hinamizawa disaster. I imagine the villagers here sticking these posters to the wall as they discussed the dam construction project and their opposition plans. The struggles that occurred in the Showa era, like the labor striking movement, felt almost as distant as the Industrial Revolution or the dawn of civilization. I get that feeling. Obviously, like obviously there's some big stuff that happened only like a couple years ago, and probably by now post COVID. It feels like everything's just been like so long ago, right? It felt unnatural to step into a space littered with relics of another era. Somehow it felt like I was stepping into another world. Okay. As she said that, the woman in the kimono vigorously slid the door inside the hallway open. Whoa, what the fuck is that? Okay, I do remember looking through the voice actors and the concerts and, scrolling by fast. I didn't look at too much, but I do remember this man. This guy looking. Who the fuck is that? Okay, that's not Miyuki. That is not Miyuki. She doesn't even have the same eyes. Okay, maybe I was wrong. I guess I was wrong. I was wondering why she didn't have Akasaka's last name. But it's not even Miyuki? Who the fuck is that? This guy looks like the fucking... He reminds me of like the protagonist of that Go manga. If you know what I'm talking about. Hikari no Go. Kinda. But that is not Miyuki. Okay. So I got baited. Huh? So that means my first my first title of it, making a more dread joke doesn't make sense because it's not Miyuki. That's crazy. Wait. I'm actually stupid. I'm stupid. I'm actually stupid. These are different characters. I just had a brain fart because we literally just saw Miyuki. I'm so stupid. I'm actually dumb. Okay, yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. We saw a CG of Mewtwo and it was literally Mewtwo. These are just different people. God, okay. As per usual, it's pretty late at night. Okay, it's not that late. It's only 11 p.m. I just had a brain meltdown. Anyways, ignore all that besides the comparison to Hikari no Go. Okay, once I saw the assembly hall front line in tattered Tammy mats, I let out a quick on shot. Yeah, these are just new people. Okay, new cast. New cast just dropped. God, I'm embarrassed, man. It's hard to read. It's hard to read when you're embarrassed. My bad. Poopy. Alright, let's go. Let's go. I don't like that pink girl style. High key. The guy looks cool, though. I noticed a man in the room staring at us with a stained look in his eyes. So the lady in the traditional clothing wasn't the only one here. I don't look... Is it Satoshi? Old Satoshi? Dude, that would be crazy. I don't know. I don't know who the pink-haired girl could be. Oh, yeah, Rena's daughter? That's the only pink-haired person we know. Rena's daughter and Satoshi. Those two young. Satoshi would be old. Mion's age. Satoshi's son? I got no clue. At any rate, standing around doing nothing wasn't helping anything, so I stepped one foot into the room, hoping to prompt Miki-chan to do the same. But Miki-chan, with nerves of steel, stepped into the room and greeted everyone in a lively, cheerful voice that felt entirely out of place. And so I reluctantly followed behind her. Inside the room, I noticed a young man around 20 years of age and a young woman inside, and a young woman around the same age or a little older. And the two of them were staring at us like we were suspicious characters. Say something. Looking closer, there was one more man sleeping on a futon in the corner of the room. Okay, third guy. We got a full cast now. Counting the woman in the kimono, there are 4 people in here in total. They didn't stand up or return the greeting in any fashion. They simply continued staring at us vacantly, with their lifeless, ghostly eyes. Feeling creeped out, I quickly turned away and was immediately startled. Excuse me? Yeah, Mewtwo's been sussy. Not sussy, just spooky. And sussy, actually. Contrary to her cheerful greeting, Miki-chan was monitoring the people in the room with a sharp, bloodthirsty glow in her eyes. Maybe she noticed me staring. Miki-chan turned back to me with a bright smile. What on earth was that face just now? Dude, I don't know why I forgot we were looking at a Mewtwo sprite the whole time. Honestly, it's a little rust. It's been like couple days since I've read Hote. The assembly hall was in disrepair, the tatami mats were tattered, and there were cobwebs stretched all across the furniture. Mewtwo-chan scanned the interior of the room, then walked over to a public phone in the corner of the assembly hall. But once she got there, she let out a discouraging sigh. A vintage pink public phone was laying on the ground covered in dust, and the cord was cut. Classic Rita, still cutting cords in the afterlife as a ghost. There was no point in lifting the receiver, it was very clearly dead. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's a little sketchy to say that in front of strangers when they could be suspects, but you do you. The moment Miyuki-chan said that, the two apathetic-looking people suddenly looked up and stared with attention.
警察ってなんで？人が死んでたんだよ。ここに来る途中で車の中で全員座席に座って。
Oh my god, are these ghosts? Dude, imagine if these are ghosts. Wouldn't that be crazy? Everyone in the room gasped in unison. Or more accurately, all but one. The woman in a traditional garb rose to her feet and stood with a piercing gaze in her eyes.
見たんですか？見たって何を？
The faces?
死体ですよ。
Yeah, what they look like.
本当にみんな死んで。
Bro, they're ghosts. High key. I'm feeling ghosts. I hesitated to talk about what I'd seen.
全員綺麗な顔して死んでたぜ。それが？いえ、僕死体は苦手だから。
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense with the lore. If they're just ghosts.
誰も得意なやつなんていねえだろ。そうですよね。
The young man let out a forced laugh, then looked down. Maybe it was just poor lighting, but his face looked pale.
どのあたりなんですか？その自殺者の車って。
ここからそんなに遠くないとこだよね、みゆきちゃん。
ええ。
みゆきちゃん？
早く警察に連絡しないとね。
Miyuki-chan's voice was unnaturally loud. Has Miyuki-chan been thinking about something completely different this whole time?
あなた方の携帯はダメなんですか？県外なんですよ。ねえ、龍之介さん。
ああ。
村の電話が一つでも使えればと思って電話を探しに来たんですけど。
After Miyuki-chan said that, the young woman pulled out her cell phone and flipped the screen open. Her phone was on a different carrier, so I thought there might be a chance, but in the end her phone was just as useless. The woman in the kimono pulled out a cell phone of her own and held it up to her ear to check. But after a while, she ended the call and shrugged her shoulders.
かかんないね。だいたいこんなところで電話なんかつながるわけがないだろ。
The young woman tried holding the phone at several different angles to get a better signal, but in the end she shook her head and spoke up.
私のもダメみたいです。
Okay, I lied. I actually do like her style. I was just mad at her for thinking that she was Miyuki. And I like the little mole under her lip. She's actually pretty. Her drip's actually like pretty on point. I'm sorry for any slander, any fans of this character.
県外でした。
That was my own pettiness. Looking closer at the young lady, she was dressed in a fluffy balloon skirt made of light cotton. It's the kind of casual dress you'd wear in town on a date. She's probably wearing sandals or high heels that match. I couldn't possibly see her wearing hiking boots with that. There were beer cans and snack baits scattered about in front of her. Was she drinking here with the man in the corner of the room and he fell asleep drunk? Going out on a date in a place like this? And not only that, but getting drunk?
どうかしたんですか？
あ、いや、なんでもない。
She feels you judging. Then I noticed the young woman was glaring at me with an unpleasant expression. Maybe she noticed me staring at her. Then she quickly turned her gaze downward and reached for a bag of snacks on the floor. Beside her, the young man was sitting quietly and holding his knees, staring off at the tatami floor in the distance.
あなたはどうですか？乙部、さっきからどうしたんだい？
Otobe? What the heck?
ビクビクして。
The woman in the kimono waved her cell phone about as she stared at the man she called Otobe. He shrugged his shoulders, then muttered something in an apologetic tone.
ちょっと考え事を。
携帯どうですか？つながりますか？
あ、はい。電源入れてみます。
電源切ってたら携帯電話の意味がないんじゃないですか？
I used to do that when my phone was shit.
それはまあそうですね。
Okay, I don't think they're ghosts, by the way, if Mion's talking to them, like she knows them. He stared at the woman in the kimono as he said that, then the next moment he looked startled. I wonder what he saw. I turned to see what Otobe was looking at, but the woman in the kimono was in the shade, so I couldn't make out her face.
おい、お前。
すみません。電池が切れかかってたんで電源切ってたんですよ僕。
Otobe turned his back to me and blocked the display with both of his hands to keep his phone hidden from me. Then he carefully operated the buttons while staring at the screen.
こんな山の中じゃ電話なんてつながるもんじゃないよ。沖宮まで行って直接話した方がいいんじゃないのかい？それとも
You don't want to leave?
僕の携帯アンテナ1本なら立つかも。
Oh?
マジかよ。
大丈夫そうです。玄関の方に行けばもっと立つかも。
Otobe continued staring at his cell phone as he got up to leave the room. And all the while, Otobe avoided making eye contact with any of us. Eventually, I could hear his voice faintly echoing down the hallway.
もしもし、警察ですか？はいはい。
お、あいつの携帯なんとか繋がったみたいだな。
どうやらそうみたいですね。
Miyuki-chan was staring intently toward Otobe. For some reason, she didn't look very happy. Was there something troubling about the fact that his phone was able to connect?
みゆきちゃん。
Then I noticed the woman in the kimono was also staring in Otobe's direction as well, with an equally harsh look on her face. Rip. And then Otobe's voice came echoing throughout the assembly hall.
ひなみ沢です。はい。集団自殺で。僕もまた聞きなんでよくわからないんですけど。はいはい。
Maybe Otobe was growing uncomfortable with all of us staring at him. He turned completely away from us, bowed down, and began to lower his voice.
とにかくあいつが連絡してくれたならもう大丈夫だな。
だといいですね。
What was that? Miki-chan's words seemed to have some hidden subtext. Was it just my imagination? The next moment, I heard Otobe shouting, "Ah!"
どうした？
携帯電池切れちゃいました。
Classic, honestly.
すみません。
Otobe looked upset as he said that while walking into the room with his cell phone in hand. There definitely wasn't anything displayed on his phone screen.
まあでも途中までは警察と話せたんだし、警察も大体分かってくれただろう。
そうですよね。
Otobe's eyes started shaking erratically as he said that. Does this guy suffer from the intense social anxiety? Or maybe...
これで外部と連絡を取る手段は完全に断たれたってことですね。
まあ夜はどっちみち動けないんだからさ、のんびりと警察が来るまで待つしかねえよな。
Great plan.
ですね。
Miki let out an exasperated sigh as she came back to the room. As they went to take a seat on the tatami mat, the young woman in the balloon skirt moved to the side to clear space. Miyuki-chan took a seat next to her.
それにしてもさ、無人のはずのこの村で少女が5人も顔を揃えるなんて、これはきっと何かのご縁だよね。それじゃあ死者しか住まぬこの村で 一夜限りのお付き合いといこうかね。
The woman in the kimono grabbed her long, rod-shaped object wrapped in cloth and held it under her arm. Yeah, I wonder what that is. Then she grabbed a bottle of sake, opened up the cap, and held it up. With nothing better to do, I grabbed a sake glass and held it up to receive some, but she quickly swept my hand away. Oh.
これはそこのお姉さんにだよ。
Rip. She looked straight at me, Tichin, as she said that. What the fuck? Her eyes had an imposing presence.
どうも。
A courageous grin floated to Miki-chan's face as she received the glass of sake and took a sip.
みゆきちゃん。
ごちそうさまです。いい飲みっぷりだね。どうも。それじゃ、私も。
Miki-chan poured another glass of sake and held it out to the woman in the kimono.
どうぞ。それじゃ、せっかくだからいただこうかね。
The woman in the kimono graciously accepted the glass offered to her.
お酒はお強いんですか？あんたほどじゃないがね。
Whoa.
まあ一夜は長い。長いようで短いようで。でね。
The woman in the kimono's sharp eyes looked like they could see through anything. It felt like her eyes were trying to learn something from Miyuki-chan. But Miyuki-chan wasn't fazed by the woman's gaze. She was confronting her face to face. What's the deal with this woman? Why is she so concerned with Miyuki-chan? She can smell the sus energy from her. And Miyuki-chan is acting the same. Is that the two of them are old acquaintances?
龍之介さん、私車から荷物取ってきます。
みゆきちゃんはここにいな。荷物なら俺が。
いいんです。荷物がいっぱい積んであって、どれがキャンプ道具なのかきっとわからないと思うから。
She wants to snoop.
それじゃ。
Miyuki-chan gently smiled to the woman in the kimono, then quickly rose to her feet. And then she stormed out of the room in a hurry. Miyuki-chan was keeping secrets from me. Yeah, man. I was fairly convinced of that. However, I have no idea what they might be. And I had no idea why the woman in the kimono was so interested in Miyuki-chan, despite allegedly meeting her for the first time today. We're in an abandoned village where all the villagers perished in the disaster. The odds of running into someone you know in a place like this are slim. Moreover, what are the odds that a freelance writer from Tokyo would be acquainted with this creepy woman in a kimono at all? I can't say that it's impossible, but the probability seems quite low. And what's more, even if two of them are acquainted, they're not speaking to each other as such. So what on earth is going on? On top of that, I'm beginning to doubt that Miki-chan is a freelance writer at all. Yeah, she's not.
それじゃ、とりあえず名前くらい聞いとこうかね。
I would love that. The woman in the kimono looked directly at me as she asked that. The others followed her lead and started looking at me, like they were all just waiting for me to speak up.
いきなり。俺。
順番に行こうじゃないか。私たちもさっき来たとこでさ、まだみんな名前も知らない者同士なんだ。
Really? The young woman in the balloon skirt and the young man named Otobe stared vacantly at me. And after their gazes fixated on me, I finally realized. That's it. These people have no light in their eyes, like ghosts who've lost their souls. I mean, they don't have dead fish eyes, so... haven't lost all their souls yet.
どうしたんだい？早く頼むよ。
And so the woman in the kimono urging, I took a deep breath. Who are these people? I grabbed a can of beer off the floor, pulled the tab, and took a big gulp. The beer was lukewarm and one of the most disgusting things I've ever tasted. Yeah, warm beer is nasty. Most of the time. It's the end? That's crazy. We can go longer. It's only 25 minutes. I hate that we're not following the chapter breaks. Oh my, okay, never mind. We'll do the tips and peace out then. I want to actually follow the chapter breaks, but I've been a little non-committal. But I'm almost back in full shape. So next episode will be revigorating. Okay, we won't be forgetting that we've literally seen Miyuki before. Long-awaited trip. First tip, 2 tips this time. He stayed home all day that day, laying on the tatami floor, occasionally looking out the window or messing with his cell phone, not doing much of anything. He wasn't drinking alcohol like usual, but that doesn't mean things were safe. So after finishing the dishes, I carefully chose my words and decided to speak with him. Yay. Guess that's our pink-haired friend. He responded in a weak voice without turning around. I was a little disappointed that he didn't turn around, but no, it's better this way. These days, it's been painful seeing him face to face.
昨日職場の人に借りた雑誌にひなみ沢村って場所の紹介が載ってて、
Oh.
そこってだいぶ昔に大災害があってずっと閉鎖されていたんだけど、最近それが解除されたんだって。でね、恐ろしくて誰も近寄らないって言われてるんだけど、本当は自然がいっぱいで静かないいところ。
Her voice is very interesting. Did it sound like this in the chapter? Maybe we just didn't hear enough of it. It's very unique. Maybe she's just like really stressed right now. Oh, I see. I can't tell if like this guy's dying or he's like abusive. I think like at first I thought she was scared because he's not a great person, but it feels like he's dying.
来週私連休がもらえるから一緒に行ってみないかな。きっとすごくいい気分転換になると思うの。ダメかな。
In that moment, his body suddenly started to rise up. When I saw it, I immediately held my breath and started to brace myself.
ごめんなさい。別に私匠くんが嫌なら。
I'm getting both vibes. Driving. Are we taking your car? Then it's fine. After hearing that, I was able to release a little of the tension and catch my breath. Then he got up, walked right past me, slipped on his shoes, and went off somewhere. Yeah, let's go. To Hinamizawa. This girl is sus. I don't know what's happening actually with her. See one of the dead people in the car. Oh no. I imagine he's the guy lazing around in the corner of the room though. A familiar face. Oh. Where did I lose the way? I really did get myself lost in a completely unknown world. Otobei. Nimizawa village. This place became an abandoned ruin after the gas disaster over 20 years ago. After that, everyone was afraid of the mysterious incidents and rumors. Nobody ever goes anywhere near nowadays. It's a ghost town that they even took off the maps. That's right, there's nobody here. That should be... And yet... Up ahead, there's a person dressed in a morning kimono, holding an umbrella, dripping wet in the middle of the pouring rain. Yeah, that's an umbrella, dude. She had a mysterious aura somewhere between living and the dead. And I could see a long, slender cloth wrapped around, bouncing around, attached to her back. A pipe? A wooden sword? Or maybe an actual sword? I swallowed my spit and quickly started to lose my resolve. Even from behind, I could tell she was suspicious. I felt danger in the air.
ここ出るらしいよ。
As I remember the words I said to myself earlier, a chill ran through me and I began to tremble. What should I do? Even though it's abnormal for another person to be in a place like this. What can I do? Should I say something, or... Just then, the woman in the kimono started walking in the opposite direction of where I stood. When I saw that, I started to panic and suddenly called out, "Wait." She stopped as requested, but her back was still turned. I could feel the sharp tension coming from behind her back. Bloodlust.
もうやけだ。
What are you trying to do, bro? Since escape was no longer possible, I decided to step forward and speak up.
僕観光でここに来たものなん
Based sightseer? I actually don't feel like this guy's statue, to be honest. I don't know.
道に迷って
At least compared to the girl.
そのもしよろしければ人里はどっちの方か教えていただけませんか。
人里。
I could hear her exhale through her nose, like she was laughing at me, and then...
人里はどちらかと言われたら、私の歩いてきた方向が人里だね。不慣れなあんたでも、歩けば夜明けまでにはたどり着けるんじゃないか。
by dawn.
もっとも、途中で道を間違えて、矢後地あたりに迷い込んじまうかもしれないけどね。
So spooky. Spooky Mion. Mature Mion. It wasn't much of an answer, but for now, it was a relief just to hear anything at all. Thank goodness. Looks like she's human, not a ghost.
あの
She's not walking all the way back.
案内してもらえると嬉しいんですが。
If she's walking from that.
冗談を言いでないよ。
Honestly, yeah, that's a lot to ask.
私は自分の用事でここまで来てんだ。あんたの道案内をしにここまで来てるんじゃないよ。自
Aw.
分のことは自分でするんだね。村を出たいんなら、その目的に一生懸命になるといい。つまり、一生懸命自分一人で道を探して、一人で歩いて出て行けってことさ。
In other words, she wouldn't be able to do it. So I am going to be lost here all night.
あなたはどこへ行くんですか。
この先にある古出神社に用がある。の、さ。
Saw? The next moment, she casually turned around to face me, eye to eye, then her eyes suddenly opened wide. And then she fixated on my face as she moved in for a closer look. Yeah, he looks like Satoshi. I knew that was part of the thing, right? I kind of said that.
あの
I mean, I said he's the only blonde guy, but his voice kind of sounds like Satoshi. Very light-spoken.
サトシ。
Fate Satoshi. And before this is Shion? No. I didn't know how to respond to a name I didn't recognize. When she said the name Satoshi, was she talking about me?
サトシなのかい。
いえ僕はアキラ
He does. He has the Satoshi vibe down.
アキラ。
はい乙部
Unless it's a brainwashed Satoshi. I thought it was a case of mistaken identity, so I panicked and said my name again. After hearing that, she quietly gazed at my face for a while, then she let out a lonely-sounding sigh.
なんだ、違うのかい。にしても驚いたね。あんた、私の昔の友人に瓜二つだよ。
Also, Satoshi would be the same age as Mion.
他人の空にとはよく言ったもんだね。
This guy is
そう
young.
なんですか。
別人とはいえ、久しぶりに来た村でこんな懐かしい顔に出会えるなんてね。てっきり幽霊かと思って自分の目を疑っちまったよ。
They both thought they were ghosts.
それにしても、この幽霊村で人に出会うこと自体珍しいってのに。
Good
よ
luck?
りにもよって。
Maybe?
こりゃ一体何の偶然なんだかね。
She smiled while carefully watching me with her arms crossed. Though she was smiling, she stared straight at me with a sharp gaze in her eyes, and it made me flinch.
まあいい。これも何かの縁だ。お前さんが朝まで雨を浴びていたいって言うんじゃなきゃ、一緒に来るかい？
いいんですか？
いいも悪いも、私は来るかいって言ってんだ。質問を質問で返すんじゃないよ。
True. They teach you that in school. I used to always do that though.
あとはあんた
It's so
の意思
rude
次第
though.
じゃないかい？
It's like if someone's like asks you how are you doing today? Then you go, how are you doing today? It sounds it's actually like kind of annoying.
ぜひご一緒させてください。
I'm saved. I felt like I was about to burst into a dance as I nodded to her over and over. After seeing that, the woman smiled and nodded, then started walking again.
昔のままなら集会所には毛布があったはずだからね。そのびしょ濡れの上着はそこで乾かした方がいい。もっともあれから20年以上も経ってるから、屋根が抜けて畳が腐っている可能性もあるけどね。
あなたはこの村の人だったんですか？
ああ、そうか。自己紹介がまだだったね。
Say it.
私は
Okay, yeah, it is Mion. It makes way more sense because, you know, again, the theme of the living Mions.
いかにもこの村の住人だよ。
Plus, if this was Shion, she would probably don't. She would probably don't. Nah, I don't know. It's been like 20 years, maybe not, but I don't know. If it was Shion, she might have just pounced on this poor guy. Anyways, confirmed Mommy Mion. Now we can name this video that with 100% certainty. Anyways, good epi. A little short one, but we'll try to read it to a proper chapter break or chapter end next time. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time with some more Higurashi. See what's up with these new guys and what the fuck Miyuki's doing. Yeah. Until then, peace.